The Empire had ruled for 12,000 years. Star by star, system by system, it expanded, not with kindness but with command. Its warships were planets unto themselves, city-sized behemoths forged in quantum fire. The galactic core bowed only to the banner of House Terran. The outer colonies bled in silence. Resistance had been buried in history. Peace was not harmony. It was compliance. And then something arrived. It did not hail. It did not transmit. It simply appeared in the dead heart of Imperial space, above the sanctuary world of Neuraxis, a ship, no known configuration, black as vacuum, silent, massive, and human. The Empire had long erased humanity from their records. A species deemed primitive, fragmented, extinct. But this ship carried a signal code so old it predated Zeran dominance, an echo from Earth's forgotten past. The Emperor watched from his throne orbit as his fleet locked weapons, and the human ship remained still. Not afraid, just waiting. The order came. Eliminated. 15 dreadnoughts moved in perfect harmony, titanic beasts of alloy and plasma. Cannons locked, targeting arrays buzzed, fusion cores hummed. Fighters screamed into space, darkening the void with their wings. From the capital moon to the fleet command stations, the Empire prepared to remind the galaxy that no one defies them. The human ship pulsed once, a soft blue shimmer across its hull. Then a voice spoke, not transmitted by frequency, but woven into every listening mind. We remember Neuraxis, and we are not here for conquest. Only closure. And then came the collapse. One dreadnought, the pride of the Zeran fleet, began to bend, but literally. Its front warped inwards, metal shrieking silently in space, before the entire vessel folded into itself like paper caught in a black hole's breath. No explosion, no energy wave, just erasure. Panic erupted. Imperial command AIs rebooted mid-battle. Orders overlapped. Fighters collided. The fleet scrambled to react, but the human ship didn't follow up. It hovered still as death, calm as memory, as if to say, "You brought war. We bring its end." The Empire, for the first time in millennia, felt something colder than vacuum. Doubt. The Imperial archivists scrambled. Deep within the data vaults beneath the library moon, protocols long dormant awakened. Files labeled Terra redacted flickered back to life. Words forbidden by law, Earth human Saul, began to reappear. No one had ever seen a Terran ship. Most assumed they had never even left their solar system. But the vessel now floating above Neuraxis Prime bore markings older than any known language in the Empire. The sigil, a phoenix surrounded by stars. Beneath it, scorched into black alloy. Vigilant. UNS Resurrection. The Imperial High Council demanded answers. How did this ship survive? Where had it been hiding? What technologies did it possess to erase a dreadnought with no visible weapons? But no one could explain. Not the scientists, not the strategists, not even the ancient minds. And the ship still hadn't moved. On board, unseen to Imperial sensors, were 11 humans, silent, armored, breathing in air recycled from a time before the Empire's first breath. Each bore the scars of exile. Some had never walked on Earth. Some had lost loved ones to Imperial raids, but all carried the same mission. We are not here to conquer. We are here to remind them we were never gone. One of them, the captain, stood before a dark interface and whispered into the void, "Begin Phase 2. The stars around the ship flickered, and across the galaxy, other ships began to wake. Across the Imperial network, strange disruptions rippled. Not attacks, not viruses, memories. Suddenly screens in distant colonies blinked with images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, cities long destroyed. Old music played on encrypted frequencies. Children in mining camps stared at holograms of sunsets they'd never seen. Engineers wept at the sound of a heartbeat from a mother planet they'd been told was myth. The human ship had not only come for vengeance. It had come to speak. A message transmitted through light and silence, embedded in the gaps between pulses. You tried to erase us, but we became something you never understood. Legend. On the outer rim, forgotten Terran colonies, long hidden in asteroid fields and nebula shadows, activated. They didn't rise with weapons. They rose with stories. Memories passed through generations. Songs once sung in bunkers, coordinates etched into bones. A culture that refused to die, not because of its might, but because of its meaning. The Empire began to understand far too late. This wasn't a fleet. It was a reckoning of memory. And above Neuraxis, the human ship finally moved. Just a few kilometers, but it was enough to trigger every defense system. And none of them fired, because somewhere deep inside, even the machines remembered. Humanity never forgets. Above Neuraxis Prime, the sky cracked. Not with thunder, not with fire, but with truth. Truth so old, so heavy, so buried, that when it emerged, the Empire's silence shattered. The human warship began to descend, slowly, purposefully, like a monument lowering itself into memory. It didn't charge weapons. It didn't need to. The gravity of its presence bent space. Clouds spiraled. Communication towers short-circuited. Orbital sensors failed. It wasn't technology, it was testimony. Across every capital moon and deep space citadel, fear spread like plasma fire. Admirals shouted for backup fleets. Priests of the Terran cult lit sacrifice fires. And the Emperor sat alone in his command dome, trembling. He had inherited galaxies, but never a consequence. As the black ship approached low orbit, every screen across the Empire flickered again. This time it wasn't Earth. It was what they did to Earth. Cities burning, civilian ships shot down mid-evacuation, broadcasts of Terran surrender being overwritten by drone fire, children frozen in cryo-tombs lost to time. The Empire hadn't just erased humanity, they had murdered it. The ship broadcast one sentence: "We did not forget, and we do not forgive, but we offer a choice." And then, they waited. The Empire, master of ultimatums, now stood before its first. Far across the stars, hidden fleet stirred. Not imperial, human, from asteroid belts and rogue moons, from gas giants cloaked in magnetic storms, and they emerged. Ships without signatures, crews born in exile, sons and daughters of survivors, carriers engraved with old Earth poetry, fighters named after extinct animals, bombers with paint scratched in hundreds of languages, but all speaking the same rage. This wasn't a rebellion, it was a return. And at the heart of it all, UNS Resurrection remained silent. The flagship didn't move. It let its message burn across the stars. Humanity was not a forgotten species. It was a forgiving one, until it wasn't. Inside the ship, Captain Amin watched the fleet telemetry. Update: 43 Allied ships had emerged from stealth. Not to attack, but to witness. Their arrival was not to wage war. It was to stand as memory, that humans once loved a planet so much. They never stopped fighting for it. Even long after it was taken, one of the ships, the Child of Europa, opened a visual feed. An old woman in a Navy uniform spoke, her voice cracked with age. "To the Empire, you taught us silence. But now we speak in fire." And behind her, in the void, stars began to move. Not blinking, but growing. A second fleet. A third, a fourth. The Empire realized this wasn't a battle. It was a funeral for its lies. The Empire responded the only way it knew how, with overkill. From the edges of the galaxy, it summoned the Black Armada, a fleet so vast it took days to unfold from fold space. 500 ships, 9 AI-controlled war stations, 12 command planets. It was not just a force. It was the myth of Imperial invincibility made real. And they came for one ship. UNS Resurrection did not flinch. It did not retreat. It waited, like a stone in the river while chaos flowed around it. Inside, Captain Amin studied the scans. "Let them come," she whispered. She wasn't armed with hope. She was armed with history. As the first waves reached orbit, the sky over Neuraxis lit up like a dying sun. Missiles screamed. Energy cannons split clouds. Debris fell like rain. It was not a battle, it was a purge. But Resurrection did not fall. Its shields did not flicker. Its hull did not crack. Because it wasn't made of steel. It was made of promise. Rebuilt from the ruins of every human colony that had ever been burned, shaped by the hands of engineers who grew up in the dark, fed on memory and rage. Then came the counterstrike. Not from Resurrection, from the others. The hidden Terran fleets, once silent, now moved with ghostly precision. They did not scream. They did not broadcast. They danced. One by one, Imperial ships began to vanish. Not destroyed, unmade. Gravitational ripples folded cruisers like cloth. Plasma mines whispered through halls like wind. The battle turned from an attack to an exorcism. Above it all, Resurrection hovered, watching the Empire fall, to a species it had forgotten. When the last Imperial ship powered down, silence returned. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of understanding. On Neuraxis Prime, the Imperial capital lay in ruin. Not from bombardment, but from within. No buildings were burned. No cities glassed. Yet every banner had fallen, every anthem gone quiet. Resurrection descended, not to conquer. To land, its engines quieted. Its doors opened. 11 humans stepped out, and not in power armor, but in old expedition uniforms, scorched and mended. No soldiers. No speeches. Only witnesses. In the center of the Imperial Plaza, they built a fire. Yes, bar. Wood, flame, warmth. And around it, they placed objects. A vial of soil from Earth, a stone from Mars's first colony, a torn flag of Europa's rebellion, and one simple plaque. We do not return to rule. We return to remind. The new generation of aliens, children, refugees, workers, gathered. They listened. They learned the names of the lost. They drank from steel mugs of brewed tea under alien stars and asked, "Why did you come back?" The captain smiled. "Because we owed the galaxy an answer. And now you've heard it." Then she looked to the sky. Hundreds of other resurrections glowed in orbit waiting. But the galaxy would never forget the first one. The warship that didn't conquer, it remembered.